Let's see if this kind of works like I am expecting. Okay, cool. Probably that would be it. Okay, cool. Looks like it's working like we would expect. I'm gonna go ahead and hit that too. Okay, cool. So it is December, which means I get to get my Santa hat back out, and I'm pretty excited for that. But actually, what I'm more excited for is Advent of Code started today. So I'm going to stream this, record it, and we're going to tackle the first Advent of Code problem. Before we get into that, so I have an Advent repo from 2022. I'm going to create a new repo, and we're just going to do all of the Advent stuff in that repo. So Advent get init. I'm going to make another folder called 2024. I'm going to cd into 2024, and then we'll get started from here. Okay, so let's take a look at this problem. The chief historian is always present for the big Christmas sleigh launch, but nobody has seen him in months. Oh no! Excuse me. Last anyone heard, he was visiting locations that are historically significant to the North Pole. A group of senior historians have asked you to accompany them as they check the places they think he was most likely to visit. Okay. As each location's checked, they will mark it on their list with a star. They'll figure the chief historian must be at one of the first 50 places they'll look, so in order to save Christmas, you need to help them get 50 stars across their list before Santa takes off on December 25th. So this is just the text that explains the calendar, so there will be stars here as we go. It tells you here exactly that. Collect stars by solving puzzles. 2 puzzles will be made available on each day in the Advent calendar. The second puzzle is unlocked when you complete the first. Each puzzle grants 1 star. Good luck. You haven't even left yet, and the group of elvish senior historians have already hit a problem. Their list of locations to check is currently empty. Eventually, someone decides the best place to check first would be the chief historian's office. Upon pouring the office, everyone confirms that the chief historian is indeed nowhere to be found. Instead, the elves discover an assortment of notes and lists of historically significant locations. This seems to be the planning the chief historian was doing before he left. Perhaps these notes can be used to determine which locations to search. Throughout the chief's office, the historically significant locations are listed not by name, but by a unique number called the location ID to make sure they don't miss anything. The historians split into 2 groups, each searching the office and trying to create their own complete list of location IDs. There's just one problem. By holding the 2 lists up side by side, your puzzle input, it quickly becomes clear that the lists aren't very similar. Maybe you can help them reconcile their lists. So here's an example. We have 3 on one list, 4 on another, 4 on the first list, 3 on another. So maybe the lists are only off by a small amount. To find out, pair the numbers and measure how far apart they are. Pair up the smallest number in the left list with the smallest number in the right list, and then the second smallest, and so on. Okay, so in that case, we'd have 1 on the left being the smallest, and then 3 on the right being the smallest. Then we'd have 2 and 3. Okay, that makes sense. Within each pair, figure out how far apart the 2 numbers are. Oh, warning, what? Stream current bit rates. Huh. Oh, weird. Okay, I don't know why I'm having bitrate issues, but I will attempt to fix that probably for the next one and not this one. Actually, let me see if I can change that really quick. That would... Yeah, okay, whatever. We will get it next time. Okay, so yeah, let's tackle this problem, right? So let's see, maybe the lists are only off by a small amount. With each pair, figure out how far apart the 2 numbers are. You'll need to add up all of those distances. So for example, if you pair up the 3 from the 7, the distance is 4, a 9 and a 3, the distance is 6. Okay, that makes sense. Find the total distance between the left list and the right list. Add up the distances between all the pairs you found. Okay, so we have some lists that we're going to be working with. Sounds like some absolute values. Seems fairly straightforward. So yeah, let's get started. So this is my input. I'm going to grab all this. I'll save it into a file. Let's open the correct project. So we've got a new folder here called Advent. And I am going to go ahead and probably do these in Dino. So we'll have a TypeScript file. It's probably just going to be a script. I don't really want to set up a whole Dino config for everything. Yeah, let's try that approach first. So input.text, we'll paste that and save it. 1,000 lines of input, excellent. Problem.ts. Okay, so we're going to create a script. We need to do a couple things. So I mentioned we have two lists. So we're going to organize everything into a list. We'll sort the two lists to get the smallest numbers all the way up to the highest. And then get the difference and do some absolute value type math. Okay, so with that in mind, we have L1, terrible name. L2, terrible name. So we have two lists that we're working with. I'm probably just going to script this whole thing instead of make this like a super clean type option. Dino, please. You know what? I might actually, to access the Dino primitives here, I might actually need to make this a Dino project. So let's do that. So I'm just gonna come back to my terminal. Dino, not what I wanted. Dino help. New project. Is there not? There's not just a start a new Dino project. Huh, okay, does not look like it. Cool. I was hoping to get my Dino language server to help me out here. So, Dino read file. Let's see what that looks like. I've done this before in another project, but I just do not remember. Okay, await Dino. And I think we should be able to do top level awaits as well. So let's try that. Dino, no, geez. Dino.read file. And it's called input.text. Let's try this. Consider adding an empty export to make this a module. Okay. I am actually, do you know init? How did that not show up here? Oh, no, there it is. Okay. Why is it so far down down the list? Dino init, cool. Dino JSON main TS. Okay, cool. This should be fine. Yeah, and it's picking up the Dino namespace stuff. My Christmas hat is actually really hot, so I'm gonna take that off and continue without the hat for now. It makes me sad, but that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so we have our top level awaits. We have Dino reading from a file properly now too, which is great. So what we need to do is we need to iterate through the input. So we're reading that as a file. Can we specify delimiters? Probably not. That's okay. So we can get lines is equal to input dot split. Read file. Is there a read file string? Read string? Do we really have to decode it? Decoder.decode. Yeah, I guess so. Okay, cool. We'll grab this decoder as well. Drop it right here. Decoder.decode input. And we're My goodness, this needs to be right here. We're gonna split. Okay, looks good. We want to split on a new line. So it's gonna give us each line. And then for each line, we want to get the pairs. So if we want to get those pairs, we would do something like for const line of line. And then we can say line, it's a string dot split. The separator here is 1, 2, 3 spaces. So we'll take 3 spaces, we'll split on that. And this will be left and right. So if we take that, what we can do is just add those. So we can do L1 dot push L2 dot push R. So this is going to populate both those lists for us. Then what we need to do is essentially just sort them. L1 dot sort, L2 dot sort, and this maybe isn't the most performant solution, but performance is not really my concern at this point. It's solve the problem and then solve the second one. So we'll push through to that. So we're sorting both of these. So what that should give us now is we should be able to let I equals 0 while I is less than L1 dot length I plus plus. And then we want to get these values and then get the absolute difference between them. So in our case, we want to value is equal to L1 I minus L2 I. Oh, but these are strings, right? But they shouldn't be strings anymore. So we're just going to parse them and we'll see what happens. It might be a bold assumption that this will work, but we can check. One thing I will give the advent of code stuff, they don't throw in a lot of silly, like invalid inputs, which is nice. You don't often have to worry about that. We'll see if this bites me, but I don't think it will. And then we want something like let total is equal to 0. So then we get to this point, we have our value. We need to total plus equal math.abs value. We want the absolute distance between them. And then console.log total. Let's give this a shot and see what it gives us. My goodness. Okay. So I can run Dino run 1. No. What in the world? Dino run. It's like it doesn't. There are files here, right? Yeah, there's a 1. Okay. Weird. I'm just going to wire it up in our main TS file, I guess. But then I need to export all this as a function, which seems kind of unfun. Let's just paste it here. This becomes /1/input.text. Allow it to read file. Not a number. Okay, great. Off to a rough start. So why would it be not a number? Let's take a look. So we have our text decoder. We're decoding all of this. We can console log line. Let's make sure that line is what we would expect. Looks pretty good. So I feel pretty good about that. Let's console log L1I, L2I. See what that gives us. Run this again. Oh, our last one is undefined. Why would our last one be undefined? Are these two lists not the same? Let me just double check something with our input. Do we have a bunch of these? Yeah, we do. We have 10. Okay, cool. That seems promising. Why would they not be? there was a blank line in the input. I probably should code against that, but I just removed the blank line and we are good to go. So with that in mind, let's take our value, let's paste it in here and see if we're correct. Hey, that's great. Right answer. 1 gold star closer to finding the chief. Continue on to part 2. Your analysis only confirmed what everyone feared. The 2 lists of the location IDs are very different, or are they? Historians can't agree on which group made the mistakes or how to read most of the chief's handwriting, but in the commotion you notice an interesting detail. A lot of location IDs appear on both lists. Maybe the other numbers aren't location IDs at all, but are misinterpreted handwriting. This time you'll need to figure out exactly how often each number from the left list appears in the right list. Calculate a total similarity score by adding up each number in the left list after multiplying it by the number of times that it appears in the right list. Here's the example list again. Okay, so for this example list, here's the process of finding the similarity score. The first number in the left list is 3. It appears in the right list 3 times, so 3, 3, 3, 3. Second number is 4. It appears once, so 4 times 1 is 4. Third is 2. It does not appear in the list, so the similarity score does not increase. Okay. The fourth number, 1, also does not appear in the right list. The fifth number, 3, appears in the right list 3 times, so the similarity score increases by 9. That makes sense. So for these example lists, similarity score at the end of this process is 31. 9 plus 4 plus 0 plus 0 plus 9 plus 9. So once you consider the left and right list, what are their similarity scores? Okay, cool. So we're going to change a fair amount of this. So I'm going to grab this and paste this back into problem 1. I am so confused why... /input.text. I don't, interesting. cd1 dino run problem.ts. Okay, cool. So yeah, it will, sorry, I had a weird organization dilemma here. Okay, so we have our problem and then we want to do part 1 and part 2, I guess. So let's do that. We're going to wrap this up in a function. Part 1. Format this so it doesn't look so terrible. And then we'll also do the same thing for part 2. This might be unnecessary. It might be easier in the future to just modify part 1 so that it does both. But in this case, async function. I think we should be good. So part 2 is a little different. So we are calculating the number of times that item shows up in the second list. So we need list 1, we need list 2, and then we need essentially a way to track them. So I'm going to say occurrences and set that equal to an empty object. A new map. We'll use the right type here and we'll pass it some types. So the first one will be a number and the second one will be a number. Okay, so we have occurrences. So we get all the items. We don't really need to sort them anymore, so we can remove that. We do still need to calculate a total, but we need to do some stuff beforehand, and the way that we calculate that total is going to be different. So when we're approaching this one, we have our list items. I might just do L1.reduce. We'll get an accumulator. We'll get the current value. Oops. My goodness, typos for days. And then I will pass in occurrences as the default value. So now what we should be able to do is something like if ACC, why is that a string? Why is cur a string? Did I do something wrong here? Current index, array, previous value. string is not assignable to type map. Do I just need to... Okay, weird. I'm not sure why it was giving me a syntax error there. But it believed it was a string when the accumulator should be that map that we've created. Okay, so what we want to do is essentially check if occurrences dot get. So if it exists, the current value. So we know we need to parse those to parse int L1. Wait, sorry, not L1. The current value. So we want to get that value. Const v. And then we're going to use that value as a key. So we want to make sure that if it does exist, we are upgrading it. Updating it. So what we probably want to do is if it does not exist, then we just want to go ahead and set it. Set v equal to 0. And this would be the case, the default case. So we have something in we have something in L1, but it's not in L2. We're going to change that right here, potentially. So we basically just want to check and see how many times that value is in L2. So let's see, what can we do? I guess one thing that would be interesting too is if we sorted this first, we could do a lot less iterations. So the big O of this is going to be pretty abysmal. But again, let's just get a solution. And if we want to refactor it, we could take that approach too if we would really like to. So how do we want to do this? We could filter and then take the length. That seems fine to me. And then actually, let me check the problem again. I have a question. So 3 shows up twice. The last number 3 appears in the... So, okay, for each time it appears, we would add that. Okay, I think this still should be fine in that case. So, so we're populating the map here. Okay, let's filter L2, items, item. My goodness, if, so we want to filter where item, parse int item is equal to v. So this would be the occurrences, L2 implicitly as type of any. Okay, it shouldn't be, it should be an array of strings, so let's give that a type. Block scope occurrences used before its declaration. Oh, why did I, sorry. I guess technically that is occurrences, but it's the occurrences of that value being present in the second. So we can do occurrences.set. And if we, let's see. So we're setting v, and we want to set that equal to O. But we need to add the 2, right? So there's a chance that this value is already existing. So we would do occurrences.get v plus O. Possibly undefined. You know what? That's fair. It shouldn't be, but let's handle that case by defaulting it to 0. So that gives us this map. So that map has all the occurrences, and then I think all we need to do from there is take the values and print those out, add them together and print them out. So we could reduce again, I guess, if we really wanted to. So let's do m.values.reduce acc cur, set it equal to 0 for the default, and then we just want to do acc plus cur. Add them all together, and then we should be able to console log this, and I think that should take care of it. there's a fair chance that this is incorrect, but let's give it a shot and see how this works. So I have part 1 that I'm calling. I have part 2 that I'm calling. We can await that. We can await this. Give this a return since it's async. Give this a return since it's async. Okay, cool. Run our script, see if it blows up. 410 is the value that we got. Let's paste it in. See if that's correct. That's not the right answer. Your answer is too low. If you're stuck, make sure that you're using the full input. Also, some general tips on the About page. Ask for hints on the subreddit. Please wait 1 minute again before trying. Okay, sure. Let's see what we did wrong. So one thing that might be helpful is taking a look at the map. So let's console log m. Might be a bad idea. Tons of zeros. Some 13s, which is kind of interesting. So let's double check. This 19142 does not exist in the, yeah, it does not exist in the other. So for these example lists, the similarity score at the end is 9400. Okay. Let's see. This one apparently shows up 13 times in the second list. So there's 1, 2, oh, hang on. Let's start at the top of the file. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Yeah, 13 times. Okay, that seems good. What am I doing wrong? That value only shows up once there. So that one shows up at 1 on the left. Yeah, just 1 on the left. Interesting. Okay, so it has 900 more items. That makes sense, I guess. No, that probably doesn't make sense because, so if we have a map of 1,000 items, that would indicate to me that every value in the left is unique, which, oh no, I guess that could be true. Interesting. Okay. For these example lists, here's the process of finding the similarity. So let's just walk through this again. Left list is 3. It appears in the right list 3 times. 1, 2, 3. So the similarity score increases. Oh my goodness. We need to multiply. So it's not the number of times that it shows up. It's the value times the number of times that it shows up. So we would get the length, and then this would be V times O. Okay, let's give that a shot. Yep, that's fine. That seems like a significantly bigger number. That's the right answer. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I was just missing the multiplication piece there. I probably should have read those instructions a little more clearly. But yeah, that solves the first Advent of Code challenge for 2024. I will post a repo as well. You know what? Let's go ahead and do that before I forget. Oh, wait. Sorry. Let's go up to Advent, GitHub, repo, create, push up an existing local repo, repository name, Brett Seipert, description, Advent of Code over the years. Let's do that. Make it public. Add a remote. Yes. Origin's fine. 20241. push that stuff up. Okay, cool. So now there should be a GitHub repo.com/BradSeipert/advent. Yep, so there's 2024 right there. So if you're curious what that problem set looks like, right here's the input, here's the problem, there's the two functions we created. So my code's available if you'd like to take a look at it or need help figuring out a solution for yours. Hopefully this was helpful, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow for Advent Day 2.